Thank you so much for joining the We Don't Play podcast show today, Tyler. How are you?
I'm great, Favour. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm so good, man. You know, I've been thinking about this topic for a while now, and I've been really trying to understand the whole concept because a lot of people know about solar energy. Like, it's becoming a rampant thing. I mean, I've heard it before. You know, I've heard it so many times. I think it was my dad introduced me to it, early days, and we've had it installed. But I was like, wait a minute, there's more to it. So I wanted to also just learn and listen to you and to know more about the business, get to know more about how it works, and then possibly see possibilities for us to ask people questions they can ask us too. So before we even get in there, we'd love to know more about you, who you are, and just give people an introduction of the business.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Tyler Hurlburt. I'm the Director of Investor Relations at Energea. I've been with the company since 2020. So we kind of started during the middle of a global pandemic, which was interesting. Yeah, I've been with Energea for, about 4 years now. And before that, I was a licensed financial advisor, wealth manager. So I worked with individuals and families to help plan for retirement and college and estate tax planning and those kinds of things. So I have a pretty extensive personal financial background, and expertise and licensed and things like that. But been with Energea, like I said, for about 4 years now, and super happy I made the jump. We are a renewable energy investment platform. So we are one of the first, if not the first, platform of our kind to allow investors to invest directly in solar projects. So right now we have 3 portfolios of projects, one in South Africa, one in Brazil, and one here in the States. So we basically choose the projects, oversee their construction, make sure that they're running smoothly and efficiently, and we do that on behalf of our investors. So when you invest with Energea, you're actually investing in physical solar projects around the world and then enjoying the dividends and the cash flows from the sale of that electricity as an investment opportunity.
Wow. Thank you so much for asking that specific question that people keep bringing to their minds. Like, okay, what is solar energy? How do we connect? Because people keep asking those questions, and then you just kind of ask the question in answer format that allows someone to feel comfortable about what they're investing in. Because when someone invests in something like that, they're wondering, how am I going to yield profit? It's not stocks, it's not bonds, it's not real estate. It's not the regular 401 mutual funds, and it's like, okay, this is new. It's not even crypto, so people are like, is this real?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it really is. Again, you're owning when you invest with us, you can invest for as little as $100. So when you invest smaller amounts like that, you own fractional shares of these projects, but you're very much tied to the production of electricity, renewable energy, and renewable electricity these solar projects produce. So every month, projects produce electricity. We sell that electricity under a long-term contract called a power purchase agreement, or PPA for short. And, we pay any operating expenses for the project. So maintenance, taxes, insurance, those kinds of things. And whatever's left each month gets distributed amongst our community of investors, our community of retail investors. So it's very much long-term, steady, kind of passive income investing.
When you think about like $100 a month, that's about $1,200 a year. So
Yep.
If someone just does that only and just says, okay, I'll just put this $100 like a piggy bank, instead of leaving it in like a piggy bank, they'll put it into Energea. How long should they keep doing this minimally to the point where they can actually see those results, and then they can start benchmarking from there?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can start to see the results, immediately. I mean, if you put $100 in today, you would receive a dividend this month. It's going to be a small amount, right? The larger amounts you can invest, the larger those monthly dividends will be. But I don't know if there's a sweet spot in terms of how long you need to invest or how long you should invest. I think it's really just personally dependent upon everyone's situation. The one thing I will say about Energea is it's a private investment. So unlike publicly traded stocks and bonds and mutual funds, sometimes there can be liquidity issues with private investments, in that when you need to, or if you want to sell your principal, sometimes that might take a little bit longer than a publicly traded investment would. So you do need to be mindful of that. But yeah, I mean, we have tons of younger Gen Z millennial investors that are looking to align their investment dollars with their values. And this is an investment that not only can you feel good about financially, but it also is something you can feel good about in terms of putting renewable energy into the world and pulling carbon out of the atmosphere.
Oh yeah, that's a big one that you just mentioned about pollution, because we're thinking about from gas to electric to solar. I've been seeing like cars are going to be built with solar energy very soon. I mean, it's happening. Yeah. So how does someone prepare for that and just be in that scope? Where can they learn? Where can they understand this information? What are the things they need to do so that they don't feel like they're just investing but not investing aimlessly?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great resources out there and companies doing what we're doing. You know, if you Google sustainable investing or impact investing or banking, you'll get some pretty good queries in the search there. I mean, we've worked with companies, Atmos, ATMOS Bank, and they do sustainable, like green banking. So all of the investments that they are required to keep on their balance sheet, you know, all of it goes back into like renewable energy stuff. And it more importantly doesn't go towards fossil fuels. Or companies like Carbon Collective. It's another company that does more publicly traded kind of investments, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, things like that, retirement plans. But they'll help you align your portfolio with more renewable energy and impact-minded, sustainable type of investments. And then obviously there's companies like Energea where we're very much direct. You know, every dollar that we raise is going to build actual solar projects around the world. So our investors, I always say there's line of sight from the money you contribute to where it's going. You can actually see the projects that your dollars are helping to put solar in the ground in the various markets that we operate. So that's always nice to be able to like really know, because sometimes companies, you know, if you invest in a publicly traded company, there's a lot of greenwashing going on in the world today where companies will say that they're acting sustainably or they're doing this or they're doing that. But when you really kind of look under the hood or peel back the layers a bit, you find some unscrupulous tactics there. So I always say with Energea, it's pretty simple. I mean, every dollar that we raise goes towards building solar, which goes towards taking carbon out of the atmosphere. So it's a very kind of one-to-one relationship.
Oh, that's a good one. Thank you so much for that insight. I feel like when you have business and you want to invest, let's say you want to invest this as a business, you want to invest this as a corporation, you want to invest it personally, you want to invest it within family, how does someone make a decision on how to invest in this and not have both? Because sometimes you don't want to double dip or just say, oh, I'm going full on. Some people may want to just have it one time and then come back later after 6 months or even after a year to see what happens.
Yeah, I think everything you mentioned there in terms of the titling of your account with us. So first and foremost, you can title an account any way you'd like. You can open it as an S Corp or an LLC or a business or a trust. You also can open just a regular individual account in your own personal name. We have the ability to open IRAs and Roth IRAs through a partner company of ours called Inspira Financial. They're the IRA custodian. So we allow you to choose that up front when you sign up for Energea.com and create your account. Which type of account you elect to open is really more personal preference. You know, you kind of want to talk to your accountant or CPA or tax advisor to find out, you know, what's the best fit for you in terms of, you know, should I own these Energea shares in my business? Should I own them in my personal account or an IRA? You know, that's really going to be just kind of personal preference in terms of how they're taxed. I mean, that's really going to be the driving force there, especially with like the retirement accounts. You know, those are tax deferred or tax free. An IRA or a Roth IRA, it's just a matter of, do you want to be taxed now or taxed later on the investment? So, you know, something to talk to with your own personal financial advisors and tax professionals. But whatever route you decide to go, we can accommodate.
Okay. I love that. Thank you for that insight. One thing that came to mind that you really touched on was the countries, because I actually talked to my dad about this and I said, hey, you know, this would be nice to look at, see if, you know, remember we talked about it the first time we had the call, and I went to him, I sent him the details and he was like, okay, I like this, but I have questions. And I was like, okay, what are the questions? One question, he was like, okay, if you're in the US and you're investing in India or investing in Brazil or in any of the countries or South Africa, for example, how do you know that like you said, you can tell, but someone that has no idea, like zero novice, like have no clue, how can that person, because he's in finance, so he understands it, but for the person who doesn't know how it works, how can someone say, okay, I'm investing $100 into this, I'm going to put 20 into Brazil, 30 into US, like just basic formula. How can someone really decide on how to invest, even if they don't know what they're doing in the beginning?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. One that we get fairly regularly. And we are not investment advisors, licensed, financial advisors. So we can't give specific advice on how an individual should allocate their investment dollars amongst the three portfolios. But what I can say is that generally almost always benefits for clients to diversify. So whether it's 50% Brazil, and then 25% South Africa, 25% US, or 50% United States, 25% South Africa, 25% Brazil, whatever that percentage breakdown is for you, it is important to have all three portfolios, I think. You get three different currencies in there, three different countries, different policies around solar, different areas of the world in terms of just climate change and global warming, and is it sunny or cloudy in a particular part of the world? Well, if you're in South Africa, Brazil, and the United States, you've really got the globe kind of covered from a solar perspective. So while we can't give specific advice on allocation, I would say at some level, you just want to be in all three portfolios. The US portfolio is going to be lower risk, lower return. South Africa is kind of somewhere in the middle, and then Brazil is a little bit higher risk, a little bit higher return potential. So I think some blend of those three makes the most sense.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I saw the website and I noticed like there are two sections. So there's one that allows you to choose which one you want to pick as an investment portfolio. Then the other one allows you to kind of use like a scale so that you can like a wheel. It's like a wheel, but a scale. So yeah, like a slider scale. Yeah. So how do you use that slider scale as opposed to the first option when making those decisions and knowing how to even like move the needle a little bit?
Yeah, so we allow investors, if you wanted to invest all of your money, let's say you're from Brazil and you like that portfolio, or you're a little bit more okay with the risk and you want the higher return, we allow you to just go ahead and click in Brazil and make your investment there into the Brazil portfolio. But if you're like most of our investors that want to invest in all three portfolios at whatever that percentage breakdown is, we give you that first option, the sliders. We call that the Energea core portfolio. And all that, it's a way for our investors to click on that tile of the website and choose their percentages in each of the portfolios rather quickly with those sliders, as you mentioned, and invest with just a few clicks. So instead of having to go into each investment and make three separate individual investments, the core portfolio just allows you to do that in a simplified fashion. So if you're thinking of investing with us and you want to try out all three portfolios and see how they do and diversify, you would just choose the Energea core and then choose your slider. Let's say 50% Brazil, 25% US, 25% South Africa. Click next. It would ask you for a dollar amount, and then you're able to invest directly from the platform through a linked bank account.
No, I appreciate that. And even the process you showed me was very simple, because when people set up their processes, they're like, okay, this is new. How does it work? How do I get my funds if it's in a different currency? Could you explain a little bit about that, just so that if I'm making, Brazil, South Africa more than US, for example, where will I be able to know, okay, what's that conversion rate? Does it do it for me? Or do I have to get with somebody like you to now get that converted and then, to the bottom line?
Yeah, no, everything's done automatically. So when you invest in any of the three portfolios, whether it be the US, South Africa, or Brazil, you're investing in a US entity. So they're all US based companies that you're investing in. They just own, like for South Africa and for Brazil, they own projects in those countries. But you're not directly investing in those countries. You're investing in a US Delaware based LLC that owns those projects. So every month, if it's South Africa or Brazil, every month those projects produce revenue. Like I mentioned earlier, they produce electricity, they sell that electricity, they pay the expenses, and then they basically have this pool of money left over. We call that the cash available for distribution, or in the finance world, you'll hear the term CAFD. So that, it's just an abbreviation, CAFD. That cash available for distribution gets wired back to the United States each month. We do the conversion from rand in South Africa to dollars or real in Brazil to dollars, and then just distribute those dollars to our investors. So you don't have to get involved at all in the conversion rates or anything like that. And then once you actually receive that dividend, you have the ability through our platform to either choose to automatically reinvest those dividends each month and benefit from compound interest, or you can take those dividends as cash and use that as like an income supplement to your overall investment portfolio.
Lovely. No, this is great. So yeah, this is great, information. So
sure,
Tyler, now I'm thinking about this even more intentionally, because before someone invests into something, they have to think about it. They have to process, they have to learn, they have to know, like, is this the right thing for me? What would you tell that person that's on the fence, that wants to get in but doesn't know like what's going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I would say is if you create an account on Energea.com, just go in there, go to Energea.com, Energea.com, and up at the top, you'll see a button that says create an account. Or get started. I think it says get started, actually. If you click on get started, then basically you're going to be able to, just with your email address and creating a password, you'll be able to have an account at Energea.com. And there's a ton of information on the website. We have project memos and portfolio documents. All the documents we file with the SEC are there on the website. There's some graphs and calculators. Hey, if I put in this much money over the next 5-10 years, how much can I expect to receive over the life of the investment? Those kinds of things. There's performance sections for each portfolio. So for the Brazil portfolio, as an example, you could go back all the way back to the beginning of the portfolio and see how it did each month from a return standpoint, dividend standpoint. And even if you click on those bars, you'll see all of our manager notes for that month. So you can kind of there's a ton of information on the website. So I would say, I always tell people start there. Spend an hour, half hour, however much time you have on the website a couple nights. Get familiar with the product, how we do things, read through some of those documents. And then when you're ready, just schedule an appointment with me or one of our team here. You can send us an email at info at Energea.com, and then we'll be able to kind of answer your questions through there. And if it makes sense, we can schedule a meeting. You can email me directly, Tyler, Tyler, at Energea.com as well. Yeah, and I think, once you've gotten yourself familiar with the website, how we do things, and read through some of the documents, the next step would be schedule a meeting with me, or, we made the investment minimum $100 for a reason. We wanted this to be a pretty low risk kind of investment for somebody. So you put $100 in, see how it goes for a few months, collect some dividends, maybe talk to us a bit. And then when you're feeling a bit more comfortable, you could put in a larger sum down the road till you've, gotten to know the investment a little bit better.
I love that. Yeah, I'm just sending light to people, letting them know, because how I even got to know what you do and how we even got connected was because somebody was selling me solar energy. They were like, oh, we're from this company and we want to talk about this. And I was like, okay. And this was the third person that talked about solar energy. So I was like, there's a reason why I'm just being hit on with this thing. So I said, let me do my own research. Because normally when people talk to you, they'll just say, hey, we're selling this, and then they go away. So I said, no, let me actually pay attention. So I Google search, did some deep digging, and I found your company. And that's how I connected with you. And that's how we're here.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think you bring up a good point there, though, is that there's a lot of companies out there that are involved in the solar industry, right? From development companies that actually build the projects and engineer them to companies that maintain them on an ongoing basis, operations and maintenance companies. You have the companies that make the modules and the inverters and the equipment that go into building a solar project. So there's just all kinds of different ways you can invest in solar. One of the things that I will say is that a lot of the residential solar companies out there, you just have to kind of go into that with your eyes wide open, I think. If you're at Home Depot and somebody's trying to get you to put solar on your home or your apartment or something, you just need to watch those things a bit, because there are some deals out there that aren't so favorable, and you got to read the fine print and those kinds of things. But with Energea, like I said, you're investing, instead of having to put the solar on your roof and deal with all of those issues and contracts, and what if something goes wrong to my roof, and who's going to pay for it, and all these different things, you can very easily invest in solar with us and not only offset your carbon footprint in the process, but earn a nice 10, 11, 12% return in the process.
Yeah, they don't have that everywhere. So that's why, you know what I mean? That's why I saw it. And I said, no, I have to definitely tell the good news and let people know about this. Whoever taps into it can see it. And people don't talk about this much. You know, you guys are very quiet. I don't see ads. I don't see commercials. It's very quiet. It's like those Lamborghini ads that you don't see. You know, guys, how do you guys make this a mission? Because you said $100 is the least. And that to me tells me that every student in college can put $100 towards this, for example, if they're thinking about their future. Just the bare minimum cost. So how is this mission for Energea going to spread out as far as it can? I'm helping, with this mission. It's part of it, but macro, what are we looking at 10 years from now, a decade from now?
Yeah, I think, right now we've been selling shares of our Brazil portfolio since August of 2020. So just about 4 years now, coming up on 4 years of offering these investments to the public. So relatively new company still. I would say sometime last year, we exited what I would call the startup stage of the company and went into more of the growth stage. We have some dollars that we manage. Right now we have about $125 million that people have invested with us over the last 4 years. And we're profitable. We're a profitable business at this point. So now we're actually into the point where we're able to consider putting more money from, taking profits and reinvesting them back into the business through marketing channels, whether it be digital channels or social media, influencer marketing, those kinds of things. So, I think we're looking at all of those opportunities as we grow and as we scale. But, 10 years from now, I think it's, we're starting to realize it's pretty much a math equation of every dollar we spend on marketing, we know we're going to get X dollars back. And then we know in turn that that's going to be X number of fees that we're going to collect. And that's going to turn into revenue for us. So it's really just that pumping more money into marketing. And then obviously things like this, these little grassroots, people that have a podcast or have a Reddit group or a Slack channel or whatever it might be, getting on, engaging in these kinds of communities to help spread the word. We do have a referral program as well for our investors. So if you invest with us, once you've made that first investment and it's gone through and cleared, you actually can refer friends and family. And if you refer somebody, we give you $50 and they get $50 for joining.
That's pretty fair, honestly, because I feel like if you're sharing is caring. If you give people those things, you can be able to connect with them. And that's why we're doing this. So I know whoever will need that, I'll definitely get them connected with you. I'll put my link down and let people get access to it so that they can also feel comfortable. And they're like, yeah, you know what? Why not? Because you could spend $100 on food, on gas, on a flight, on a hotel, on something, on, pedicure, massage. You can do anything with it. But that $100, imagine getting 12, you said 12%. So it's where do they do that at? So I feel like if you just plan yourself properly, you can do a lot. So I think one of the questions I ask a lot of people is, when was the last time you did something new for the first time? And most times we don't hear a lot of responses, so this is one of them.
Yeah, no, it's a great thing to do for the environment and for your financial future, for sure. Like I said, the average return that our investors have kind of generated on the site since we started, it's been about 12%. But each of the portfolios is going to have a different return profile, right? So in the US, we're averaging about 7%, a little over 7% return, lower risk. South Africa's been just about 10% and Brazil is 14%. So if you blend all those together at equal rates, you'll probably come up somewhere in the 10, 11, 12% range, depending upon what the breakdown of those investments are.
I love that, 100%. Question for you, Tyler, is this, right? Because when people are going to listen to this episode, they're going to really do their research. They're really going to dig in. They're going to learn a little bit more. Now, when you invest in Energea, you're investing in solar energy. You're investing in panels. You're investing in electricity. You're investing in all the resources, right? Now, let's say I have a house or I have an investment and I want to bring one of those panels or invest into the point where I can actually say, okay, we have one in the US, can we put it at our house? Or do I have to go to another company to get solar energy for me to not have it at my house. So where does that come in, and if you've ever had that kind of case study before?
Yeah, unfortunately, you'd have to go to another company for that. So we're primarily investing in what's called commercial and industrial solar projects. You'll see the abbreviation C&I, solar, for commercial and industrial. So larger scale projects, either ground mounted projects that we're connecting to the grid and then distributing the energy and selling the energy credits to the end user, or a lot of rooftop solar on top of office buildings or grocery stores or schools, those kinds of things. Residential solar, which is putting panels on your home or apartment or condo, that stuff we don't get into at all. We actually don't do any of the building of these projects ourselves either. So while we have experience in building solar projects, our co-founder and managing partner, Mike Silvestrini, started a company before Energea where they were doing a ton of solar projects, the actual building and installation of projects on Walmart, Target, Amazon, fulfillment centers. So he has a ton of experience in the industry, but we personally will always generally hire a third party to do that stuff. So unfortunately, if it's residential solar stuff that you're after, you'd have to go out there and find a reputable company in your own market that does that. But I would kind of challenge you a bit. I've talked to some people, and again, when you do residential solar on your home, there are a lot of things you have to look for, right? You have to look for who's installing it, who's paying for the equipment. You see a lot of deals that feel like they're too good to be true, and many times they are. If something happens to your roof when somebody's putting the solar on it, who's responsible for fixing the roof? Is it you as the homeowner, or is it the company that installed these panels on there? So those are things that you have to consider. And I would challenge that you get just as much impact investing with Energea, and we're taking all the risk and doing all that stuff on your behalf and managing the portfolios for you, and you're earning a 10, 11, 12% return. So if you put in, let's just say you put in $10,000 with Energea, the dividends that you receive on that $10,000 each year probably are going to equal or exceed what you're spending on electricity. So you're kind of doing the same thing by investing with us as putting panels on your house. Or you could certainly make the case that it's a very kind of comparable exercise.
100%. No, I love that. And I think using this concept, like we've just given a case point, it allows someone to think about and ask themselves, where are we investing in the future? Where are we putting our content? Where are we putting our structures? How are we connecting with people? And then telling the next person too. Because if a family is benefiting from that, a household, they're going to tell the next family, or they're going to tell the people close by. So That also builds a community. Now, last question is this, because this came to mind as you were speaking. Community-wise, of course, this is an investment, right? So people, of course, don't know who's who. But when you look at like the advisors, like you talked about connecting with somebody, an account manager, how does that process work? Is it an hour? Is it once a week? Are there office hours? Would I have to book a call just right away? Because everybody's busy. So how does it work so that even if you guys have an update, or let's say something is going on in the market, everybody's aware so that they're not caught by surprise?
Yeah, so we do quarterly investor webinars, and it's really all of and anybody that's signed up for an account on Energea.com is going to get invited to that quarterly webinar, right? So if anybody listening to this right now has any kind of interest in potentially learning more about this in the future or jumping on a webinar, I would say just go to Energea.com when we're done, create an account with your email, create a password, and then you'll get an email notification. So if you sign up, you'll get an email inviting you to that. And then in the meantime, again, if people have any questions, info@Energea or Tyler@Energea.com, we can schedule a meeting, or we can kind of chat through email. There's a chat function on the website that goes to myself and some of our team here, so we can answer questions there. But yeah, I would say that's the best way to kind of communicate with us, is just through one of those two email addresses, and by just creating an account on Energea.com so that you can get on our mailing list and we can start. We don't go crazy with the emails. We're trying to send too many out. We send maybe an email a week at most, something that's relevant that we feel like our users would benefit from.
I love that. Wow. Thank you, Tyler. This has been great.
Yeah.
I'm glad we did it like this, because I've been podcasting all day, and I said, you know what, let me do a little bit more and come in with this style and let more people listen to it. At least if it's one or two people that can hear it, they can at least get some insight. So I appreciate you for being on the show and connecting with us today, Tyler. I appreciate you so much and can't wait to have you back with us again.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Take care.
Yep. Bye-bye.